Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm your host. And joining me this week, we have a very special guest, Mr. Steele Saunders. Steele, how are you doing, pal?
Hey, it's so weird. I just put it together. You're Jimmy Good, but you host the Critical Podcast.
Believe it or not, yes. But by the way, Google defines critical as seeing both the flaws and merits of a thing. So I try to do both, you know?
Yeah, but I don't think everyone takes that in their definition of criticism.
No, definitely not. No, for sure not. Especially with the word critical. If you have like a critical eye for something, you know, some people are like, that's sometimes good, sometimes bad. But yeah, so it's like it balances me out as a person, I like to think. So
yeah, I think when you say like art criticism, it seems like you mightn't hate it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But just like
sure.
critic, like film critic, I don't know. It seems like they're grumpy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily vibe with like who, if someone knew me, they'd be like, are you sure like you want to be that guy? Like, you know, but that's okay. I'm bringing the critics up a little bit. All right. You know, we're trying to like, let's smash these expectations. You know what I mean? Just crush them, get them out of here.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Good. Jimmy Good.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, and that is my real name. Some people are like, are you serious? I'm like, I'll get the driver's license to prove it. Like I have to like show ID to people. I'm like, seriously, there it is. I can't. It's just my name. So
yeah. Dude, my name's Steele. That's my like. Do you know what I mean? You don't think I've had to pull out a few licenses?
For sure, and I like that. I mean, I think it's a really cool name. You probably obviously have different feelings because it's your name. You know, I like it.
I'm at peace with it. I like it. I'm fine with it. But I do sometimes forget it's like a silly name because I'm so used to it.
Yeah,
but it is a very silly name.
Yeah, well, I like it, and you have the E at the end there too, so it's a little different. Some people ask me like, "Good," they're like, "Is there an E at the end?" I'm like, "No, it's just the way you'd spell it." So, yeah, which this is great. I love we're talking about our names, man. This is good. This is an hour of this. You know what I mean? That's so good. But besides us talking about our names and you know waxing nostalgia and stuff like that, here we usually talk about movies, games, TV shows, things we just love to discuss. And the cops or the fire people are coming for Steele. Steele, is your house on fire? You can tell me.
No, but I live in Hollywood and it can get real around here.
It can get real. So we have to make this short to make sure that there isn't like some horrible crime going down.
Yeah, I don't know. We had, it's pretty mellow. We did have a siege one Saturday night down the street. So that was pretty sick.
Wait, a siege? I got to ask about that.
Like, I don't know. There was just, no. Okay, so the deal was someone went downstairs in their apartment to put out the trash or something. And a homeless person snuck into their apartment and said, "This apartment's mine now."
Oh my gosh.
And the siege broke out. Like, I don't know. It was like, I think the amount of police that turned up was like way too dramatic.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There was nothing going on that night.
Yeah, like when you actually think it was just a homeless dude in the house, but I guess they didn't know. I don't know, but they were there till like it went into the daylight hours. This siege, it was around the clock.
Okay, sure.
So
okay, well, fascinating.
It's you know, who knows what will happen during this podcast.
See, if that happened up here where I live up in the Midwest, someone would die out in the cold if someone like took somebody else's house. They would just be frozen outside like a popsicle, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have snow on the ground here, believe it or not. Haha, it's great. Yep, living in the Midwest, baby. No hurricanes, tsunamis, you know, earthquakes. I keep telling myself that as I'm shoveling.
Wow, you've got snow now?
Yeah, we do, believe it or not. That's April. That's April, baby. Yeah, it's sometimes we even get it in May. Pretty nuts.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, in LA, I'm not from LA. I'm from Australia, but I live in LA. And did you know when it rains here, people cancel appointments?
What? Really?
Yeah, they're just like, nah, it's raining.
That's so funny to me. It's like, nope, we have like a foot of snow and we're like still going to schools and stuff. It's like, just
no, because it only rains like about 5 days a year or something. I was back in Australia last month and it rained 2 days. In LA, and I was devastated. Like, I missed 2 rain days.
Yeah, the 2 out of the entire year. There's still 5. You're like, I got 3 more here, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I miss the most. Like, that's the thing. I just miss it raining.
Yeah,
like it's so dry here. But we should talk about something nerd related.
That's true. We can move on to that. I was going to say, you know, I just like talking to you. So, you know, to give our viewers and listeners a little bit of a feel for who you are as a person. Like,
oh, wait. Well, I'll start. The fire truck, it transformed into a giant evil robot, everyone's. So there you go. I'm just trying to bring it back.
Oh, perfect. There you go. That's how we tied it back into it. Perfect. Well, cool.
Yeah. Michael Bay's now yelling at him out the front. Yeah. I can hear him.
So are you trying to tell us that Transformers are some of your favorite films of all time? Is that what we're getting to?
No, they could have been if they weren't
the way they are.
Like that.
Yeah.
They hurt your head. I feel like I've gotten a concussion when I watch it.
Yeah. I tell people this story, but I went to see The Last Night this past summer. I saw it at like 9:30 in the morning. I had a coupon for it, so I had like $5 off, and it was like a $30 movie or something like that. So I paid like $1 or something, and I got out of that theater and thought I wasted the $1. And I was like, all right, there we go.
Yeah, man. I watched it on a plane, and films are at their best on a plane. Because you're stuck on the plane. You're just happy that, because I remember going on a plane, and when you look forward, you just see the back of a seat.
Yeah.
But now, like, every movie lives inside the back of the seat. It's awesome. So they just had that new release, and I'm like, oh, I'll watch it. Like, because the thing about those Transformers films, right? When you read the one sentence, like, oh, this is what the story is about. I was like, yeah, that sounds sick. Like the Transformers were alive in King Arthur and stuff, and the dragons were actually Transformers. Yeah, I'm into it. And I got 20 minutes or something, and I was just like, nah, I can't. Like even plain level bad.
It's so funny because it's so true. And I was just like, I felt like kind of captive because I'm like, I don't really walk out of movies. So I'm like, all right, I'm here. And I'm like, okay, Stanley Tucci's Merlin, and he's like drunk in the beginning. I'm like, okay. And then they have Sir Anthony Hopkins say like, that ride is bitchin'. And I'm like, what's happening? Like,
yeah.
It's just...
The last one I watched the whole movie of, it just had so many shots of the Autobots driving in the desert.
Yep.
So many establishing shots and dudes in Jeeps with just like, and like they established that, and they established so many things, and they've got to go back to establish the Autobots are still driving. It's just no good. Can I add some news?
Please do.
All right. I don't really know. I'm going to click a link, but I'm so excited. Like this is really exciting. So my Twitter has been, I've had numerous little tags about this, that Paramount Pictures has made a deal with F. Gary Gray, I have no idea who that is, to team with Hasbro, I know who that is, to develop and direct a M.A.S.K film. Do you know M.A.S.K?
I feel like I've heard of it. I'm not super familiar with the lore behind it, though.
Okay. It was so good. It was like maybe 86 or 7. So we're well past Star Wars. Transformers is like easing down. And then they've got these M.A.S.K, right? And so there's good guys and bad guys. There's this guy, Matt Tracker, who's like a millionaire. And he used to be teamed up with this dude, Miles Mayhem. And they developed this technology. And Matt Tracker should have known something was up because this dude's name was Miles Mayhem. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you got to say this guy's going to go off the deep end one day.
Sure. Yeah.
And so they had everyone had a M.A.S.K. There were like 2 secret organizations, and each M.A.S.K has different powers, right? You know, you can fly, or you got like a laser or something, but they've all got these like vehicles that change into sweeter vehicles. So Matt Tracker had like a Mustang or something. I'm not very good with cars, but he had like a badass car, but it had gull wing doors, and the gull wing doors would open up. Oh, this is good for the video actually.
Yeah.
And then it would extend, and there'd be guns, and they'd end up as wings, and things would open up in other things, and it would turn into a jet, right?
Yeah.
And there was a helicopter that turned into a jet as well. There was like an Optimus Prime sort of truck that turned into like a command center. There was a bike that turned into a helicopter. There was a Jeep that ejected a boat. But anyway, so there was just dope battles, and the toys were sick. They were Star Wars scale, but just like a tiny bit littler. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was a cartoon, and it's like, it had the best. It was like the theme song was like, Masked crusaders working overtime, fighting crime, secret raiders, and then blah, blah, blah. But it was like a sweet 80s soundtrack. And it was just a dope cartoon.
Dude,
and I've always said, like, you know, out of like Transformers and G.I. Joe and all those sort of toy properties, M.A.S.K. Actually, He-Man would probably be my favorite, like, to make a movie of if they did it like well. But they're exciting. So now we've got He-Man and M.A.S.K. films in development, whether they ever come out or not. But, you know,
yeah,
rebellions and film productions begin with hope. That's what I've heard.
Oh, that's really good. That's funny. Well, this sounds like a really cool thing. Like I'm interested in that, and like the concept of the Transformers, or like with M.A.S.K. here, with kind of like the vehicles that change into other vehicles and do other stuff. That's such an appealing, like a really cool thing that they did way more of with like the beginning Transformers films. Like this last one, like Optimus changes from his like robot self into the truck in like a dust storm. So it's like you don't see it. It's like, did they cut the budget? Like I thought these things had like sweet budgets. It's like you're not going to show the Transformers transform. Why am I coming to this movie? Like I don't want to. I don't want to see this. Like it's like, come on, man. So maybe M.A.S.K. could rectify that, man. Like that would be cool.
This is a problem with those films, right? I guess it's a remake, and that's what happened with Star Wars. I don't know. It's interesting because I sort of don't think people should want stuff in Star Wars. Like I think they should want stuff, but I don't think they should hold anyone to the fire for if it doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to see, you know, I wanted to see Luke fight with his green lightsaber. That's what I wanted to see. And it didn't happen that way. And I sort of just went with the story and appreciated it that way because I'm not writing the film. But sometimes these 80s remakes, they miss things that like, you have to do that. And I'm not sure if I'm being a hypocrite or not. Like, you know the Thunderbirds?
Oh, yeah, I know of them.
The little puppets, marionettes?
I think so, yeah.
And now there's a cartoon of it, like some weird 3D thing. But so in the 70s or whatever, they were, not that I was watching it in the 70s, but I used to wake up when I was little to watch the show, and it was all models and puppets, like marionettes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so people should just YouTube M.A.S.K. and it's the cartoon, and there's a dot between each letter because it's Mobile Armored Strike Command.
That's such a cool name, but the K, so for command, is with a K instead, right?
Yeah, it's how the kids talk, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like Cobra from G.I. Joe. Is that with a K?
Yeah. I don't know. I never even thought about that, actually. But
1980s conspiracies. They're all together. No, I'm just kidding.
And Venom was like vicious, evil. It was just brutal. It was
really
vicious, evil network of mayhem. I think that's what it was.
Really cool. And was it Miles Mayhem?
Yeah. How's it?
He wasn't on Venom. He wasn't on Venom.
I remember that, and I still don't know my new phone number in America. What is wrong with me?
You have your priorities straight.
Yeah. Okay. So they miss. So one of the coolest things in Thunderbirds that happened every week was they'd get called on a mission and they'd be chilling in their like mansion, and they're on this couch, and when the couch would lower into the ground and go through an elaborate like thing to get them to the ships.
Yeah. Well, for sure.
And like they'd play the Thunderbirds theme, and it was I think it was like the same footage every week.
Sure.
But it was so dope because, you know, they'd go down slides, and then the slide would go choot, and then at the same time it's like dun 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 dun. I'm like, yes, we're on a mission. So I watched this Thunderbirds movie, right? No couch. They don't do it.
What?
Right?
Why not?
Because they're idiots. I don't understand. And the director was Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek, Riker. So every time I see him now, I'm just like, you robbed me of that moving couch, Riker. I don't care how handsome you are. You've done it. And then, like in the He-Man movie, I just want to see He-Man go, I have the power, and change.
Like, yeah.
They didn't do that in the movie. The movie was brutal. And in Transformers, I just want to see Optimus Prime say, Autobots transform and roll out. That's it.
Yep. They've gotten close. They're like, Autobots roll out, but he'll never say transform and roll out. Like he's like,
none of this. you didn't watch the cartoon and a cloud puffed up. It was the same Transformers footage every time, and we loved it.
Oh, for sure. You know what I mean? Totally. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like, I always liked it when his hands tucked in. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cloud, nah.
Yeah, exactly. No buys. Well, I was thinking it kind of reminds me of like the more. There should
have been a cloud in the cinema, and when the cloud cleared, you were gone. That's what the cloud should have been.
I should have brought my smoke pellets. I don't know what I was thinking. But I was thinking like the most recent Power Rangers was the same thing. Back in the day, every time they would like transform and get in their Zords, it was always the same footage, but it was so cool. And now in this new Power Rangers, it was like barely any Power Rangers, and it's like just at the end, it's just like, all right, I guess we got to be a Breakfast Club, whatever. It's like it's killing me. It's like just because you bring something from the 80s today doesn't mean that everybody's in a Breakfast Club. But apparently that's just. But no couch. Like I don't even know about this stuff so much, but like the couch thing even hurts me because I think that'd be so cool to see. Like with a high budget, they're like, how are we gonna make this couch thing really sick? You're like,
because it like you saw the same footage every week, but it was so cool to see the way because they lived in this mansion on an island. And they had to get to all their different ships all around the island. And so they'd all have different, and then like one ship would, like the pool would slide open and the ship would come out of the pool. The other one, Thunderbird 2 had big wings, right? This was pretty sick. So it had big wings and it was sort of like a tugboat that flew because it carried other ships inside it. And, that's the other thing, right? So this Thunderbird 2, it had different pods that it would sit on and take the pod, and each pod had a different Thunderbird, right? And the pod doors had the number, so you knew what Thunderbird was inside. So you might get, I think Thunderbird 5 was a submarine. Cool. I might be wrong, but so there was all these different ones. There was one that was like a drill because they were there to save like people that were in peril, and so the pods would go across this conveyor, and as a fan, you're like, I reckon it's going to be Thunderbird 6, like because you've like heard the mission, and you're like, it's water. They're gonna need the sub, like, do you know what I mean?
For sure, yeah, totally.
And so that was just an awesome thing of seeing which one it picked, and then it would come out of this hangar door. These like the rocks would come down, and because the wings were so wide, and there was palm trees. The palm trees had some mechanism that made them all bend down.
Whoa, cool.
So they all like bowed before Thunderbird 2 and it could get out with its like its wings. And it was the same footage every week, but it was that like the ceremony of it or something that you look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's consistency. That's another nice thing with these shows because sometimes they don't have that, and you're like, but I always look forward to that moment.
Yeah, and it's just like, who doesn't want to see someone like slide off a couch?
Yeah,
like even in Batman, in that 1966 Batman, I loved it when like I watched it in the 80s, and like just the way like they'd go to there was a statue. I hope I'm not like, I don't want to blow Bruce Wayne's cover or anything. No. But there's a statue in his house and you press inside and the doors and you slide down on the bat pole, and every week it would happen and you'd be like thrilled. The weird thing was though about that, now I think about it, they would slide down the pole and by the time they got to the bottom in the Batcave, they were in their outfits.
Yeah, I know. I've thought about that too. I don't know.
Is there a middle level that they never showed?
Or they're like kind of like robotic arms that come out and just kind of like put it on them really quick when they like slide like into a suit and it like zips them up and you just don't see it.
Yeah, maybe. I never like that sort of robot dress. I don't like it in Marvel when sometimes the Iron Man suit is a bit too, like when it's just like, oh, how did you invent all that?
I know. I think about that, especially the one in the first Avengers where he will land outside and he'll walk in and like it'll just come up and pick pieces off of him like as he's walking forward.
Yeah, like, it's almost like it's seducing him. Like like let me undress you, Tony Stark.
Well, I just like to think too, he was out there one day with like a hammer and a nail and he's got like the blueprints and he's like, oh, I just gotta get this one thing to work because if not, it's gonna rip my leg off. You know, be like, oh god, like, you know.
Yeah, he puts a lot of work into looking cool. Like I feel like that's just unclick.
Yeah, for sure.
like it's like how long did like like how much time did you have to invest to invent the iron undresser?
Yeah. That's so very true. You're definitely right, because there's something to be said for that. He doesn't have an Alfred though. Like, so they don't show Batman usually suiting up in these movies. It's like he usually has like the chest thing on, then he kind of looks at the mask, or whatever. But like Alfred, I just imagine it's like he's zipping him up in the back. He's like putting the helmet on him. He's like, all right, good to go. So
make sure the zip doesn't pinch.
Yeah, yeah. Just can you? I know I ate a lot today. All right, Alfred, we gotta get out there. Joker's out there. We gotta go. Yeah, that's what Tony Stark needs. Because Pepper would be weird if she was doing it all the time. Like.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Pepper.
You're not a fan of Pepper?
I just can't stand Gwyneth Paltrow. So
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I completely agree. When she kind of came back into the fold for Marvel, spoiler alert, and Spider-Man. What was it? Spider-Man Homecoming? No, Civil War. I think it's what it was. Anyway, seeing her back, I was like, all right.
Yeah, and the whole thing with her in the suit, I was just like, I don't know. It's sort of just. I just anyone can just get in the suit and they know how like works. Like, I don't know. When the suit gets a little bit too, like he doesn't even have to be in it anymore.
Yeah, it kind of takes away from that.
Like I didn't grow up reading comics and stuff, so I don't have a good. Like I'm pretty I take Star Wars rules and use them in other things.
Yeah,
and yeah, when it was sort of when the suit gets a bit too cute. Like remember it like. It like flew across the country to meet him one day.
Yeah, there's stuff like that. Especially, I think in 3, he has like portions that are like built like microchips into him, so like pieces will come to him eventually. So that's what happens in 3.
But that comes across country.
Yeah,
like
it does.
Like when he's hanging out with that little kid.
Yeah,
that one was brutal.
Yeah, there's some really weird stuff in that movie, and the thing is, like, just because Robert Downey Jr. was in it, it just still made like crazy money. But I wouldn't say it was like the greatest. And there's a horrible twist in that film too with the villain that's like like killing me.
I didn't mind the twist. I thought that was pretty funny, actually.
You liked it? You liked the twist?
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to be something different because I was hopeful that we would get an Iron Man villain that wasn't just like his other adversaries are typically like, I am a bad guy that has the same suit or something similar. And this was the first time we kind of still got that. But at first I was like, oh, this is like some sort of interesting kind of modern take on a medieval or a Middle East dictator. And like something weird and new. Does he have magic like the actual Mandarin? And I was like, what's going to happen? And then it was completely different. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't mind that bit. But yeah, the bit like Pepper and all the iron suits and stuff, I don't know. I wasn't that hot on. And just the kid, it all just seemed like you could have manufactured, like made it less coincidence that he just ends up in this town with like Doogie Howser. Like,
yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's like a little kid genius. It's sort of like you had to like, I don't know. I just feel like you can so easily go, all right, the kid, I can't even remember that well, but like the kid did some experiment that got Iron Man's attention, or he had some signal coming because he had some thing he built. But just like, I just happened to meet like one of the 250 million people in this country. I met the one that can perfectly help me.
Exactly. It is very strange.
Yeah. But then I'm not that into it. So I've never really thought about it again. Like, but whereas Star Wars, I'm like, better make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was going to ask you, do you have a favorite Marvel film out of any of the ones that have come out recently?
I would have to say Guardians is my favorite. I just saw the Thor one, and that was pretty good as well. The new one, Ragnarok or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But Guardians, Civil War was pretty good.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, the airport battle. Yeah, I'd say Civil War. Marvel, the Guardians was great, but Civil War was sort of, I don't know. It just felt like their Empire Strikes Back, sort of. Like sure, it was just like I love like all the characters' motivations, like that the Russian guy or whatever, the dude that kept listening to his voicemail. Yeah. Like that dude was great. And I kind of like the arc at the end. And I like that everyone's sort of, they've like all the good guys have sort of got pretty good motivation to be fighting each other. Mm-hmm. And like Black Panther, like his moral compass is like like it's really interesting and stuff. And yeah, so that, yeah. And I have to say, I had the day I saw Civil War, I just didn't have a good day. I was close to doing a thing in LA with like interviewing JJ Abrams.
Oh my gosh.
And so they were sort of like weighing it up, and I like it was still like a 20% chance of happening, right?
But still that's 20%.
Yeah. Well, so I was on 20%, and then I found out I was 0%, right? That day. And something else happened that I was just like, oh. And at the time I was living in Melbourne and my wife was living in LA. So, you know, like you sort of miss your wife stuff as well. And so I went to the preview screening with James and Meso.
Oh, living my dream right there, man.
And I went, it was at IMAX. And I remember just during, like they afterwards were just like, oh, so you like really like that battle, huh? And I'm like, oh, it was hilarious. Like it was like just seeing everyone use their powers. And when stuff's like high action like that, when it's just like, dun, 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 I just start laughing because I just find it like, I'm just having so much fun. Like if something like crazy happens, like in Star Wars, when Poe Dameron does that big U-turn in the X-Wing.
Beautiful. I love it so much. Yeah. Oh,
like I'm so filled with joy. I'm just like laugh. It's the only way I can like I'm just like, this is so good. So I like just watching I was watching the Civil War take place, and I was just like gasping, clapping, and laughing. And I remember out and just like going, oh man, I'm in so much a better mood now. Like I walked home just like, woo. Yeah, cool. So that's a pretty good film.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that like you got that from that, because that, you know, the meaning kind of behind Civil War is kind of sad. It's like the kind of falling apart of this team, more or less. You know, the directors talk about it being kind of an allegory for like divorce. And but still, like that fight scene is great because not only is it fun with all those cool moments, and they do an Empire Strikes Back even call out, but it's like they're not trying to kill each other. They're like, he's like, you're holding your punches. You're, you know, somebody will say that. And you're like, yeah, you're right. I'm not trying to kill this person, but like, it's great. I love it.
Well, that is one of the best Star Wars references of all time.
Yeah, it's very that old movie, you know, with the big walkie thingies. You're like, yeah.
And as he was doing it, and I was, you know, it sort of gets projected a little bit, I was just like, yes, yes. I was thrilled. So yeah, that has to be the best one. Yeah. Now that I've thought about it a little bit.
Yeah, I also just love Black Panther in that movie. Like the way that they introduce his character and how integral he is to that, and how he's kind of always in the background for pretty much everything else, but he has his moments to shine. Like it's so good. Like he's just.
Yeah, and it's cool the way you can sort of relate to everyone that took different sides. You can sort of see like the misunderstanding, like, yeah, which makes it like way more compelling than just like, oh, evil, bad. Like, I don't know, like I'm not sure what the deal with like Thanos is. Yeah, like I don't read I've never read a comic that's not Star Wars. So I'm not sure what this character's like or what is, but it just at the moment it just seems like his deal is, I'm evil. Give me sweet stones for my glove. Like, you know, so I'm not sure what else he's got.
More or less,
What's Thanos really like? That's what I want to know.
I think from what I remember, he was like either bullied or abused as a kid or something, or he was like a freak of nature. And like, that's when he started down this dark path. But I don't know if they're going to try to like make you feel for him as he's like trying to kill everybody. Like,
wait, where did he get bullied?
Back on his home planet.
He's on his home planet. They have bullies there as well. Okay.
I think so. I think so. I could be wrong on this, but the last time I remember looking into it, I was like, oh, okay. So he was bullied. And one of his motivations, especially in the comics, is that he has fallen in love with the physical embodiment of Death, who is looks like a woman, I guess. And like his goal is to like kill as many people, as many things as he possibly can to be reunited with her. Very strange. So I don't know if Hela might play that role. like going forward because she was in Ragnarok. So maybe she could be Death, kind of quote unquote, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
which one was Hela?
Oh, that was Kate Blanchett.
Oh, yeah. Okay, the sister. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, with all the blades.
Did she die though in the end? Didn't she?
Well, she gets stabbed by Surtur. Well, spoiler alert, she gets stabbed by Surtur's big like sword or whatever. But I don't know if she's like dead. You know, it's comics. Nobody really like doesn't seem like they die forever unless you're like Uncle Ben or like Bruce Wayne's parents. Like then it's like okay, they're dead. But
yeah, but has anyone in the movies come back like that randomly or?
Well, we lost Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes. He like dies in the first Avenger. He falls off that train, and then they bring him back in Winter Soldier. So you're like, oh, he's dead, and then he's like, oh, he's back. So that's like one example of that. But Quicksilver ate it in Age of Ultron, so I don't think he's coming back. But with the Infinity Gauntlet, you could bring anybody back or kill anybody. It's going to be strange, you know?
Yeah, it's yeah, because I find it a little bit liberating because I know so much about Star Wars. But yeah, when I go see the Marvel, like I've got like no idea of like what, you know, people like, oh, they can get Scarlet Witch right or whatever. It's like, no.
Yeah, for sure. I totally.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I really wish I could go see Infinity War with you because I would just love to have you just laughing over here, like right next to me as like something crazy is going on. I'll just be like, all right, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be really annoying as well.
Maybe, I don't know. I just like your laugh though, so maybe like other people might find it annoying. I might just find it jolly. I just be like, oh, this is cool. I like this. You know, someone's having fun. Like you walked out of Civil War, you went in sad, not feeling good. You walked out happy. Like that's like the point for a lot of these Marvel films, especially. It's supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be like my life is so horrible and I have to think about all the mistakes I've made. It's like nope, like they're gonna fight, and you're like, all right, cool. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing to look at it like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that when you see Infinity War, you can still have some fun, and hopefully you won't go in and it won't be like a bad day because like the fact that you almost got to beat J.J. Abrams is pretty cool, but hopefully that's still down the line, man. You're just building up to it, right?
The week is young.
The week is young. Oh my gosh, yeah. But plus, like you know, I've probably mentioned this to other people too, but your interview with Ben Mendelsohn, one of my favorite interviews of anything ever. Like listening to you guys go back and forth, I could listen to that for like 3 or 4 hours. Like it was really so good.
Ah, thanks. Yeah, it was really cool. It was he was like perfect. He was exactly as I hoped he would be.
That's so cool. It sounded like he was excited to talk to you, and just I remember getting first exposed personally to him like on Bloodlines. That's the first time like he really stuck in my brain, and then seeing him as Director Krennic in Rogue One, I was like, this guy is just like so freaking good. I'm like, he's so good. He needs more work, and he's going to be in the Marvel, like he's going to be Captain Marvel, I think next, which I'm really excited about. So I'm like, he's making his rounds at Disney, which is I'm like, good.
Yeah. Wait, he's not playing Captain Marvel. He's in it. Yeah.
Yes, he'll probably
Captain Marvel's a girl. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Well, at least, yeah, this version's for sure like the most prominent one. There's like other ones. It's more of like a mantle, but yeah, for sure. And he might play. I think he's going to play a villain. He might play a Skrull, which is kind of like a green alien. So maybe he'll play that. I'm not exactly sure yet, but that would be really cool because he would bring something interesting because he always does as a villain. Like you always are interested in him. Like you're like, okay, where are you coming from, man? Like I get it a little bit. Like,
yeah, he was really good in Batman as well.
Oh yeah, which man, it's crazy to think. I think of him playing opposite of Tom Hardy as like this gigantic, just like you're putting his hand, just like, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, he's such a cool guy. But it was such a cool interview. So I'm just saying, man, once you get to JJ, it'll happen. I believe it. I believe it's gonna happen. He would be lucky to interview with you, man. That would be so cool. You'd have so much fun.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. If you ever need like a pick me up, just call me. I'll be like, you can do it. You can interview anybody, and it will be great. And people, it would be amazing. So one day,
go to the Church of Good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. Oh, thank you. That's a cult idea, isn't it? I feel like it's too culty. Anyway, but besides Marvel, is there any like movie or game franchise or Star Wars that you just like? Would you say that you love? Is like kind of say like, hey, this is what I'm about.
Star Wars for sure. Like that's what I know. I'm also well versed in the Seinfeldiverse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've got that's like the greatest show of all time. I tell you what what I'm piping for at the moment, and that's Westworld season 2.
Oh yeah, I heard they just kind of sent out a joking Rickroll thing to a bunch of people, kind of like a joking teaser talking about like,
oh really
stuff. Yeah, for like people are like, if we get like 1,000, something on Reddit or whatever, upvotes or whatever, we're gonna release like the notes for season 2 and all this stuff. And they outlined some stuff, and then they did like a Rickroll joke thing, and I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. So
but yeah, have you seen Westworld? Or
I have seen it. Yeah, it's an interesting feeling show, because unlike something like Marvel, after you watch an episode, a lot of it's like, man, like people's like, are people good? Like it's after like Jurassic Park, I'm like, the people are the bad guys, and then you think about the ramifications of that world. So yeah, I've seen it. It's crazy. Good show, and a nice budget too. I like seeing that.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, the questions it brings up and who you're rooting for in the show.
Oh yeah,
like yeah. But I enjoy, like I loved Lost. And so I like that sort of, the weekly puzzle with, either supernatural or sci-fi themes. It's really fun. But J.J. Abrams he's like an executive. He's got his name somewhere for Westworld.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't think, I think he just went, and that's it. I think that was his contribution. But so that starts next month. So I can't wait, because the final scene, which if you like, I won't say what happens, but the fight, so because you should catch up, but the final few scenes, you're just like, can you just show me 10 more minutes? Like, because it gets to a point where you can't imagine what could possibly happen next. Like, it's just like, are you going to show me that? Wow, let's go. So yeah, I'm pretty excited that so there's that. I think it's like, I sort of just go for one show and just like at a time, and that's the one we're sort of going with. I watched that other one, it was on Netflix, Altered Carbon.
I was gonna say, I thought that might be the one that you're talking about. I don't think I've seen too much of it myself, but I'd heard mixed things on it. Did you like it?
I was into it for a few episodes, and then it was just like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, it just seems like really weirdly edited to get, like, it was just, it just became hard to follow for me. I'm not sure.
That's too bad.
Yeah, and I sort of just like, what's the point of this? And there's so much brooding, and there was a lot of there was some crazy action in the bedroom, which like I'm not prudish to it, but it doesn't also like, it's sort of like
yeah, no, I get you. Do you
know what I mean? I want I'd rather see sweet robots than people simulating sex like for a camera. It's like but yeah, I saw like, and I'm a bit of it is hard for me to do this, but I just tapped out. I normally like see it through because I'm a stick, collect them all.
Yeah.
And but I was like, nah, I'm taking matters into my own hands.
Sure.
I'm peacing out.
Yep.
So yeah, what other ones are we watching? I just watched WrestleMania. That was pretty fun.
Oh, cool. I know more and more people who are into that, and it seems like it's got more of a resurgence in the last couple of years. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe it's always been there, but it seems like more people are vocal about it. They're like, yeah, I'm excited about this. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think they've got like the network now. So you pay $10 a month, and it's like Netflix, but you get the pay-per-views as part of that.
Oh, there you go.
So I think so. I don't know if more people follow it now. Like because the pay-per-views used to be like $50 or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
like
maybe
once
just
a month.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's way cheaper, but so I don't know if more people are following it now or what, but it was really fun actually. It was really like, it was too long, but they had they had Ronda Rousey, who's like the UFC.
Yeah, that was such an interesting thing because she's kind of fallen out of that and now maybe into this.
Perhaps. Yeah. So she because she lost 2 matches like in real. It's like my wife Jackie's always like, is this the real one or the fake? It's like really funny. So yeah, she lost 2 matches for real, and then she was a horrible loser. She didn't take it very well, and then so she's come over to wrestling, and she did a tag match, and it was actually it was just that classic wrestling tag match where stuff's it's out of control.
Yeah.
That like it's just like, oh, and that person just came from under the ring, like just all the all the sauce piled on one. So that was really fun to watch. And then not so much nerd stuff, but there's this show on HBO called High Maintenance.
I don't know if I've heard of it.
It's really low key. It's about a weed dealer that rides around New York. And it's sort of like an anthology story because the people he delivers to, the show sort of follows their day.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. So each week's got different characters and they're like got different issues. Like it's really strange that like the format of it, because it's so random. And sometimes the dealer guy could be in the whole episode, or he might be in it for like 2 minutes. Huh. So I think it starts like a YouTube series, and then HBO picked it up. So that's called High Maintenance, and that's in its 2nd season. It's really good. And the other one I watched was it's on HBO. James Franco's in it twice. What is it called? Wait there. Oh my
this isn't
God.
like the 11/22. That wasn't like that one, was it? Like the time.
No,
one?
It was it's about The Juice. That's what it's called. It's about like Times Square in the 70s.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, and it's the one thing I don't like about it is that James Franco plays twin brothers, and it's just a bit goofy. But if you can get your head around, like if you can just go, all right, they're not together that much, I'm with it. It's really interesting. It's a cool show, and it's got Maggie Gyllenhaal. She's in it as well.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say no for yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think that's all my my viewing, but because I make like podcasts so much and stuff, I don't like, I sort of choose my television. I go to it rather than it comes to me. Like we don't have like TV. Like we don't have a cable box. It's just Netflix and apps and stuff. So I rarely sort of just burn time and watch television sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, so if you're getting viewed by me, it's very prestigious.
It's very prestigious. That's cool. You said, I really love that. You're so humble. That's one of my favorite things about you. You said Seinfeld. Have you ever given Frasier a shot?
Yeah, Frasier's okay. Like I like it, but I don't love it. It's good. Like when you're at your parents' house and you're desperate for something to watch, and it's like, this is going to be safe and entertaining, and there'll be some good jokes.
Okay.
So it's pretty, it ages pretty well, I think. And the jokes are pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about it is like, it's not topical humor. It's just funny because of the story. And I think that's why it ages well.
And the characters are like, they're very endearing, but it just doesn't have, it's like Seinfeld's like just a bit meaner or something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like Seinfeld it's just the best, man. I
love it.
It's so good. Like you can watch it. Like I can start watching it and it's all new. Like I'm just like, oh my God, this is so, like, I can't believe I have all these discs. Like
that's really cool.
I once bought on eBay, I don't even know what sort of files they were, But it was these tiny little postage stamp size files of every Seinfeld episode before they came out on DVD.
Oh, really?
And felt like I had to watch them on my screen, and they were like this big. It was so bad.
That's true fandom, man.
Yeah, because they didn't release the Seinfeld DVDs until kind of late.
Okay.
It was sort of like, you know, they really like, it was one of those ones where, I wish they'd bring out that.
Yeah, they're holding out on you.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a Disney Vault scenario. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just like, we're putting it away for a while, and then like we'll bring it out when you're really hungry for it. And you're like, oh, thank God! Like, I wanted so much badly.
They didn't even bring it out for a while.
They didn't bring it out for that in the first place. They never put it in a vault. They just had it. And they just kept it away, and they're just like, you'll never see this. Maybe it'll come out. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, it was just no soup for you.
it was a no soup for you. A show about nothing that you love so much. I mean, it's much more than that, obviously. But the fact that it still remains one of, a lot of people still talk about that show, which is just a sign of a really good show.
Oh, and yeah, it was like sort of created a new sort of genre of sitcom. But we met the Soup Nazi once, right, at Comic-Con in San Diego.
Wow.
And
cool.
We went up to him and we wanted to get like a ladle or something signed. Like you could buy a ladle off him and he'd sign it for you. That's good marketing.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we went up to talk to him and he was so nice. And he took like a genuine interest in our lives.
Oh, that's really cool.
Like he was like, oh, you're from Melbourne? Okay, yeah, I've been to Sydney. It's beautiful. Got friends there. Have you been here? He's talking to us, right? It's me and my wife, and we're just like, oh, we thought you'd be meaner.
Yeah.
It was like we were just fanning out so hard. And like I've interviewed like proper people, like celebrities and stuff, but like, you sort of have to, you're working, so you do this stuff. But yeah, just in this casual environment, we were just like, oh, you're nicer than we thought.
Yeah, for sure. You're like,
it was so bad.
You guys were basically like mating like a teacher outside of school. Basically seeing this person, you're like, it's weird to see you be nice to me because I just thought you were definitely going to be mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah. And this dude's being cool. Like he's not just signing something, like he's like trying to engage and know us as people. And we were just airheads.
Yeah.
It was just like, we always laugh about how bad we just like, oh.
That's really funny though, but that's okay because like obviously he's used to that sort of thing, and you guys still played it pretty well. Like you still had a conversation with the man. You weren't just like mute, and you're just like you talk to him. That's great. Oh, that's so funny. Like, so that is that the most like from Seinfeld? Like that's the biggest person you've met on Seinfeld so far from Seinfeld.
That I've met?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I used to sort of know the real Kramer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kenny Kramer, the guy they based it on. He came to Australia and he did his tour. He had like the Seinfeld reality tour.
Oh, okay.
And and they based, you remember there was the Peterman reality tour?
Okay,
on the show?
I feel like, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. Yep.
So that was them parodying this dude, Kenny Kramer, in real life, starting a Seinfeld tour. So that's what Seinfeld is. If you find out the stories, like it's really funny how like these things happen to people once you find out the backstory of, so this guy, Kenny Kramer, who lived opposite Larry David, who George was based on, they called him Kramer. And then in the pilot, I think maybe on the DVD, they edited it, but they called him Kessler, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because Larry David said, hey, man, if we call this dude Kramer and this show takes off, this dude Kramer is going to take advantage of it. I don't know how, but he will exploit it any way he can because he's Kramer. And so, so they called him Kessler for one episode and they're like, it just didn't feel right. So they changed it back to Kramer. And then this dude started this unauthorized reality tour where he'd take him to hotspots and stuff. But anyway, so he came out to sort of do a virtual version of it in Melbourne. And we went to it and we sort of talked to him afterwards. And then we sort of bumped into him again. And and so we sort of like, hey, yeah. And then we went to New York and did the actual tour. And so he was sort of like, oh, you guys came. And so we sort of like had a few email things and stuff. So I met him. I tell you the one that a person I actually know who was on Seinfeld. This guy, Rick Fitz, right? He's friends with Steve Stanton that plays Admiral Raddus.
Oh my gosh, Admiral. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. And then on Rebels, he does Tarkin's voice and he did Obi-Wan's and stuff. So I hang out with those guys sometimes. And Rick Fitz, he's been in every show ever, like for like 30 years or something. Like he's just been in every show. And he was, if you're a hardcore Seinfeld fan, you'd know this. You'd know what I'm talking about. He was at Tim Watley's Thanksgiving parade party, the Macy's Thanksgiving parade. Tim Watley, the dentist, had a party where everyone went and they could watch the balloons out the window, right? And Jerry wants some free dental advice. And so he asked this dude and the guy says, come see me Monday. Yeah, so that's Rick Fitz, right? So every time I'm hanging out with him, I'm like, hey man, so tell us the Seinfelds. Like I'm always like, and like his manager's like, he's been in all these shows. I'm just like, shh, hush, Dutch. We're just here to talk about Seinfeld. But yeah, so that's my big, and I love it because it's so, like it's so bad. Like it's such a bad, like it's like the unnamed dentist, and it's like people always say to me back home, they're like, oh, who's the best celebrity you've seen? I'm like, oh, unnamed dentist, man, at Tim Watley's party. Like I know him. Like I can message him now if you want. And it's just like, that's the lamest name drop ever. And I'm like, nah, dude, it's the best. Like
for sure. You're like, it's unnamed dentist and then Harrison Ford or whatever that are just like walking down the list. So you're like, but he's at the top.
I had breakfast once opposite the Black Widow. That's pretty good.
Oh, really? Like Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Weird. Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Did you say anything? Or you just kind of like, nah, there she is.
Nah, she was there with her son and or daughter. They were too young to work it out. Like it was a baby. And she had she had her son, a hat down and stuff. And she was waiting to meet people. So we just awkwardly glanced at her now and then.
As one does for a brunch. She's like, hey,
yeah,
come over there. I mean,
yeah.
That's really funny. Okay, so you've met some people or you've seen some people.
I haven't met. I just ate a pancake opposite her. We're not friends.
Oh, sure, but I mean, like with the dentist and all of that.
Yeah.
So you know some, but you've seen others. That's pretty cool, though, man. That's really fun. You never know who you're gonna run out into. Like you walk outside, you never know who's gonna be a part of the siege.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And Jimmy Kimmel yelled at me on national television. That was good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How did that feel? Was that good? Did that feel good inside?
It was just so weird.
Yeah.
So like that. So I went on Jimmy Kimmel in the audience for the Star Wars special for The Last Jedi, and it ended up him talking to me during the break and asking me about my t-shirt. And I was sort of I was like, this is my one chance to talk to Jimmy Kimmel. I'm gonna try and make him laugh. So I'm sort of like he's trying to like tease me and I'm just throwing it back at him, and it's really fun. And then while he's interviewing the cast of The Last Jedi, he starts talking about me in the audience, and I'm just like, this is so weird. But there's a weird bit cut out. They Mark Hamill just starts talking to me.
Whoa.
Like he's like, hey, is that the old Kenner font? Like, because I had the Your Snoke Theory Sucks t-shirt on, and I'm just like, yeah. And I was like, what? How did some idiot kid from Australia end up on national television with Luke Skywalker talking to him in the audience? It's just like very surreal, but it was cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you don't undercut yourself, man. You're a cool guy. Why wouldn't they want to talk to you, man? You're the reason that they do what they do.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just an idiot that makes silly t-shirts. So
yeah, but your t-shirts are great. Can you show off your shirt a little bit? I don't know if people can see this really great shirt.
The I'm Ray's parents.
It's
perfect to go get drunk in Jakku with.
it's a perfect, just walking around. Yeah, just don't go by any paupers' graves or anything. But okay, we talked Timekillers a little bit. You talked a little bit about like what TV shows and other movies you've seen recently. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that you've been kind of doing on the side?
Oh no, I burnt all my good stuff.
That's fine. No, that's okay. That's
what else have I been?
And you've been traveling too, so
yeah. I think I went through all that stuff that I've been watching. I finally saw Justice League. I saw that on the plane. And I was kind of like, I had a sleeping tablet and some wine. And it was pretty good. The film was pretty good, I got to say. So
did you see the whole thing?
Yeah, I got it to the end. I think I maybe napped in the middle and then went back and watched. But it was way better than Batman vs Superman, yeah?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Well, I know that it's kind of weird, the whole directorial shift with Joss Whedon coming in, so there's definitely some Avengers vibes, throughout. So, yeah, did you have a favorite part in this film?
I like it when Wonder Woman is sort of like roasting Batman and Superman. Like I like her little like comments and stuff, and and I liked Affleck. I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah,
as Batman. I don't know. Like Aquaman sort of doesn't. I don't know. Aquaman and the Flash sort of. I just don't connect with them. Sort of. I don't know.
I'm right there with you. I call him like Aqua Bro. Like, he's just so much like, he's like, yeah, my man, like down in some whiskey and walking into water. And I'm like, all right, like,
what's up with he like smashed a bottle into
yeah, I don't know, which is weird because like he's like the ocean. You'd think he'd want to like protect that, and all. I don't know,
man. It's a crazy dick move.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's some sort of like commercial for like that whiskey or whatever he was drinking. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but you don't have to smash. It just seems like. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know what this dude's deal is in the comics and stuff, but I imagine he's like protecting the oceans.
Yeah, typically, usually,
and that just seems like the direct like it seems like, oh, it'd be badass if he he's like he doesn't care, but it's like, but the one thing he does care about is the ocean, yeah.
Kind of like right now he's like working his way back into caring about, but he does at the same time. It's very strange. He needs his own movie. It's coming up, so
yeah. I just thought that was so like, oh, let's do something that we think is like cool without even thinking about, well, that is the opposite of that character's motivation.
Yeah. And play some Icky Thump in the back or whatever and just have it be like a really cool scene. It's like, yeah, everybody wants to be Aquaman. It's like, all right, okay. Like, I don't know. Didn't jive with me necessarily either. I just thought it was hilarious. I was like, what am I watching? I'm like, yeah. But yeah, better than Batman vs Superman for me too. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So
yeah, I don't know. Those films just, they don't seem to have the fun of the Marvel films.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was kind of just how successful the Dark Knight trilogy was, and DC was like, we will be dark and brooding and crazy like that, but we won't be like kind of fun and uplifting. But now they're trying to get that back in there because it's not working.
Yeah, but the thing, I get what you mean, but the thing about the Nolan trilogy, it's all dark and brooding, but it's very realistic.
Yes, for sure.
Whereas Batman versus Superman is dark and brooding, but it's super fake.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like everything's so green screened.
Oh, for sure.
And like the effects sort of, they seem like heightened. Like they seem like, okay, they're doing this in a slightly comic book style or something. And so I think if you're going to go for that dark and brooding thing, you kind of need the look of the film to match that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked the bits when I like the ideas of how people would relate to Superman, like if there was a super person, like as a god or as like, hey, we, or like race, just like racist against him. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't want these aliens on our planet. Mm-hmm. And then there's just like, oh, this dude's like a walking nuclear bomb sort of thing. Like I like how it touched on that stuff, but I don't know, just that battle at the end was just gibberish.
Yeah. Yep.
Just, it's like there's, oh, we've got this killer pole, we're going to put it in the water. Yeah. Better go get it now. Like, I was for sure thought Aquaman was going to come back with the pole. Like,
that would have been great. That would have been a good introduction.
You put it in the water. Like,
yeah, that whole, like, the fact that Lois Lane needs to be saved on 3 separate occasions in Batman vs Superman is like, she's kind of like the Gwyneth Paltrow for me for that specific movie. Right. I'm like, oh god, you were just like, stop trying to do anything. I'm so sorry. And it's not just like because she's a woman or whatever and she's just like basically Clark's girlfriend. It's like anybody, just any human, just get him out of there. And Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. Like, that's a whole can of worms. Like, like
yeah, and the whole Martha thing, and the thing I just found, this is where I clicked off. Like, so I went and saw it on the first night in Australia because I'd heard, I think there was like a mixed buzz coming out of it, and so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna see it on the first night, and then I can decide, and I don't have to, like, the internet won't skew me, right? And it was when Wonder Woman is going through Lex Luthor's files.
Yep.
And so Lex Luthor, this dude, has been investigating these super people, which is very interesting. But at the same time, he also hits up like his friend who's a graphic designer.
Yep.
And says, hey man, can you do up a logo for each of the people that I'm like secretly tracking? Can you make up a, like, cause I just like alphabetical order. That's boring. I'm Lex Luthor. Like, can you make up a little like lightning bolt for this like Flash dude? I was just like, what?
Yep.
How they got logos?
Yep. I love that. And I love that it comes also from like an email from Bruce, and it's like he'll put one sentence. It's like, who are you? Like space. Like, what are you doing? It's like, so Bruce like sent this Lex Luthor thing to her and had like all these questions. He's like, but I'm gonna put it so she has to hit return to see like what else I've written, because it's like I spaced it all out. I'm like, what the heck is this scene? Like, oh yeah. Man.
And then I like, so I was watching. I was just like, oh, this is whack. Like, it just didn't make sense that you'd generate logos for them.
Yeah,
but
it's so good. It's so stupid. It's like, man, that Aquaman introduction too is like him coming up to like a camera and he like stabs it and then like zooms away. And it's like, what? Okay, like, great.
And it seriously looked like he was like, oh, dude, I can't hold my breath anymore. Like, yeah. we got to be done.
Get the shot.
But yeah, so there was these 2 dudes behind me. And they were maybe like 18 or something. And one of them had a Superman t-shirt on. One of them had a Batman t-shirt on. And I was sort of like, that was brutal. Like, I couldn't, that film was no good. But I wonder what these dudes think, they got t-shirts on. They're pretty. And I sort of, in the credits, I just turned around and said, hey, what'd you guys think about that? And they just go, yeah, it wasn't good. And I was just like, right. Like,
validating you immediately, because you're like, you guys are wearing the shirts, and you're like, nah, man.
Yeah, because I always also, it's like, it's not my, like, I don't read the comics and stuff, so I don't know, what people are used to. Do you know what I mean? Like, I read the Star Wars comics, and I'm just like I'm friends with the guys that make them, but I have some issues as well with the characters and the storytelling and stuff. But yeah, it's DC ones, like, it just seemed like, I don't know, Nolan, it was all gritty and stuff, but it was still had fun in it somehow. But just that Batman vs Superman, it just didn't seem fun.
Yeah,
like, it didn't have that like that thing that would make me laugh at how ridiculously crazy it is.
Yeah.
But you know, Wonder Woman was pretty good, but still the end, like just it's a CGI. Like
gray villain in flames.
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, it's not very compelling, and that seems to be a problem they keep having. It's like, I know Darkseid's coming, but especially being late to the ball of have Thanos, you know, kind of coming out first.
What's Darkseid? I've heard the name, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so Darkseid, he's very similar to Thanos. Actually, I think he precedes Thanos. A lot of these things, like Marvel ripped off DC eventually, but he's another
How
very
dare they?
Yeah, he's a very tall, brooding kind of like stocky gentleman, kind of like Thanos would be, as it were, alien. And
Dude, are you writing his Tinder profile? a very brooding, stocky gentleman.
Well, that's the best way to describe him. But he's like another kind of gray villain, you know.
You got a crush on him.
I mean, he's searching for this thing called the anti-life equation. So he's Thanos. Yeah, I mean, so he's basically trying to find a way to like kill everybody, and his biggest like ability is that he's got these things called omega beams, which are laser beams that can like follow you anywhere you go. So they'll like kind of dodge around and like so he can fight.
I do not like that power.
I know, it's kind of like
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just hear like I hear that power and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, he can like summon a bunch of those like parademons, those flying things you saw in Justice League, like that, and Steppenwolf typically is like his uncle in the comics. He's like a general of Darkseid, so like they're supposed to be like the forebears for Darkseid.
So, and that was the other thing in that Batman vs Superman. It sort of had that the flash. I don't know, like the flashpoint where I guess
whole like.
And it's like, why are you hinting that you're going to reset the timeline in the first movie?
Exactly. Like, here's Batman, and they're like, but just in case, we might reboot all of this.
But it's like in the first film, I guess the Superman film, that's part of the universe as well.
Technically, Man of Steel was the first in this new DC universe thing. So, but still, second film, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah. So in that film, it's like, hey, we're getting everyone together, but we might reboot it. Hey, Superman's dead, but hey, guys, the sand floats, and we all know what floating sand means, don't we?
Yep.
Super people. Right. But it's just so like there's no resonance to it all because it's not like if you went a film with dead Superman. Oh, like John, I mean, if you had floaty sand at the end of the next one, that'd be something.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why they should have saved Death of Superman for like his own thing, because like at the end of Batman vs Superman, we all knew more things were coming. So it's like, okay, you're dead, but we know you're coming back. And then also, how does Clark explain coming back? Like they saw his body, like Clark Kent's body was like, like he goes back to his neighbors, and they're like, we saw you in a box, and it's just like, I'm actually Superman. Like I don't want to hide it anymore. So, you know,
it's like, hey baby, you've seen a lot of things. So he goes back to work.
Well, eventually he might, because at the end of Justice League, I think like he's going to go back to work. But I like, how are you? Be like, hey, I'm back. And they're like, what? Clark, you died, man. And you'd be like, I'm fine. It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, well, that calls back to there's that Seinfeld episode where George quits, and then over the weekend he's like, "Oh, dude, I shouldn't have quit," and he just rocks up the next Monday, like, "Hey, I was just joking around." Like, is that what? Hey,
yeah, like I quit actually that Friday that I left and baby died. And they're like, we're pretty sure like Lois was crying for like months, man. Like we thought you were dead, and he's like, I was fine. I was just in Cabo or something.
Yeah, it doesn't entirely piece together, and that's what I like with those films, is it like how I was saying with the alien thing, how it like the real life implications and stuff like that. And even in Civil War, the Sokovia Accord or whatever it was.
Oh, Sokovia, yeah.
Yeah. Like how they had the government's like trying to regulate like superheroism or something. Like I always find those things really interesting. Because I think all that stuff came up in the comics, but I would just, I watched a few cartoons and stuff, and they never sort of went into
Yeah.
They went tackle on that in Super Friends, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Well, it's like one of the, you're right, Civil War, when he kind of like General Ross is talking to them and he's like, I would describe you guys as maybe dangerous. He's like, you guys are a United States based superhero team that constantly breaches borders to carry out military actions that you deem necessary. But we are like, hey man, like they're from the States, but kind of not. Like,
yeah. Hey, what's up with the Wonder Twins? You hear much about them these days?
not too much, but there's always a chance. There's always a chance.
Form of ice again.
I was gonna say ice. I was gonna say ice. That's what I was gonna say too. That's ice. We're gonna do ice.
And then the other one would form a bucket, and then their faces would be like, she'd be there talking as the bucket.
Yeah.
And then the ice. Ridiculous.
Yeah, they're gonna make $1 billion at the box office. Yeah, you just wait for it. Just Wonder Twins, just reboot the whole DC thing. Just Wonder Twins will be the crux of it all, you know, or whatever.
So, were the Wonder Twins just invented for that show, or were they in comics as well?
I would guess typically they are usually like from the comics. Rarely does it make it where it's like Harley Quinn, like they brought her into like the Batman the animated series, and she wasn't in the comics beforehand. So I would guess that the Wonder Twins preceded the show. But there's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a Wonder Twin in a comic?
Personally, no. Not that I can think of. I wonder if Meso would know. Has Meso seen one? We should tweet him.
Oh, Meso would know for sure.
Meso.
Because if you watched He-Man, right, the cartoon, like Orko, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
He's like a red ghost sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
The little like sidekick. Yeah, he wasn't around in the toys or the comics, and then they brought out the cartoon, and then all of a sudden there's this dude Orko just chilling, like because I guess they just needed that sort of comedic relief.
Sure.
That maybe like, so I'm theorizing that maybe they just like, hey, we're going to have some young kids forming into ice.
Yeah.
What a power, man! You can form and yeah, there's a lot of waves going like fighting crime back then.
Yeah, and we'll see if they make some sort of like edgy reboot of them, and they're back, but they can do even more than what you thought they could. Like, something to look forward to, and it inevitably comes out to theaters.
Okay, like something to look forward to. Finally,
I know exactly, from the DC universe. Well, let's wrap it up here because I know you're a busy man. Let's just segue into flawlessly community feedback and questions.
Sure.
And the question I had for our lovely Legionnaires and listeners this week is just a very basic one. You know, who's your favorite Star Wars character? And I like to pose this question to the guests and stuff too. Is there somebody who just pops off the page for you, man, or in the movies where you're just like, you know what, gut feeling?
Luke Skywalker, without question. Yeah. He's my guy. Jedi, the Tatooine farm boy, come Jedi Master. Yeah, just love Luke so much.
Yeah. So I forget if you enjoyed the incarnation of him in 8.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Like, I was sort of, you know, I talked about it for 2 years about how I wanted him to ignite the green and, you know, have Sail Barge Part 2 essentially. But I loved that, like, he was a hero and in the end, and, you know, sacrificed himself to save the resistance, and also like inspired, you know, like a new group of people to go on and be heroes in the universe. And I love how they tell you the end of the film at the start of the film. I think it's like how he's like, do you think I can just go out with a laser sword in front of the whole First Order?
Yeah, that's so cool, actually. Yeah.
And then Rey's sort of like he goes, oh, Luke Skywalker's just a legend. And like Rey's like, oh, the universe needs a legend. And then in the end, he does give the universe the legend that Luke Skywalker did stand out the front of the First Order with a laser sword.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, I still like, do you know what I mean? Like I was sort of hoping for that thing, you know, for him to come and fight and stuff, and that's what a lot of people did. And I sort of, I don't know how much imagination's in that. Like when it's just, I just want stuff to happen before to happen again.
Yeah.
Like, It's hard. And then Star Wars fans, they complain when that happens. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, another Death Star. Oh, another Jedi saving it. Like it's sort of it's hard. But yeah, I love the way, like, I loved Luke in that movie. And it's, you know, it's a bit frustrating because you sort of want, come on, man, be a hero, let's go. But I also think with, if you want things to make sense, right? What possible, like, there's no real way that Luke could have been on Acto, not helped Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like, he's not then going to go, all right, let's go fight. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's hard to come, like, if he wasn't shut off from the Force and he wasn't just, I'm done, it sort of, it seems weird for him to not go help Han.
Yeah, exactly.
When do you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I sort of think about, okay, what if he's like, because I think people were just like, okay, here's the lightsaber. Okay, let's train. Let's have a training montage and stuff. But it sort of doesn't make sense when you think about like what Luke did up until then. But yeah, it was really good. But if I just hope that he comes back in episode 9, gets his ghost on. That'd be sick.
I think so. I think it's almost for sure. I also think I thought of you when I first saw this film, because I saw the Ignite the Green, and there's part of me that was hoping somehow we would get a Luke fighting sequence. I was kind of hoping he would fight the Knights of Ren or something. Like, that was like my dream vision. Like, he would go to Mustafar or something, and Kylo would have kind of holed up in, you know, daddy or grandfather's old place, and he'd be like, all right, we gotta talk about this, man. And then it just been like a flashback. But yeah, that would have been really cool. But I did like this incarnation, and I love him kind of addressing even the prequels, saying he's like, the Jedi were idiots, man. Jedi were a bunch of idiots. Sidious tricked them all. And it's like, whoa, that's a pretty far callback for him to talk to Rey about this. But like, yeah, man, Jedi.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a rich movie. So I sort of, you know, when you realize, you know, the stuff like that gets spelled out into it that happens at the end, and it's, yeah, it's definitely got people talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and you want to pass the torch, you know, in a way to, even though part of me still wants what Mark Hamill wanted at the end of, I think, Force Awakens. He was saying, you know, lightsaber flies past Kylo, flies past Rey, he grabs it, you know, and like Luke's there, and he's like, what's up, you know? Like,
yeah, no, that was in the film. I thought that was going to happen as well. Yeah. Like, when I didn't think it was going to fly past Rey, but I thought who was going to grab it was Luke, and he was going to turn up.
It would have been such a perfect, like, back to Empire, like, coming out of this. That would have been like, people would have roared. People would have been like, like, you know, people would have been screaming their heads off. Like, oh, well, that's okay. That's all right. We're moving on. Star Wars. But okay, so Luke, the short answer is Luke.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. I'll just quickly, I'm wearing it right now. Darth Vader. I love Darth Vader so much. Not only an icon, the fact that you can just hear the guy breathe, you know who we're talking about. Like, that's so cool. Like, no other villain has that. He's got like an emotional center to him, especially the end of like Return of the Jedi and all this. I just love Vader, man. And I want that Jedi Purge movie so dang bad. I will watch 2.5 hours of good old Vader in between episode 3 and 4 hunting Jedi down. I will pay good money to watch it multiple times. Like, that's my dream.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a thing for that.
Yeah, that's okay. You're not a sadist like I am, so.
Yeah, like that end scene in Rogue One. Like, I thought it was cool, but other people loved it way more than I did.
Oh yeah, see, I loved it. I was like so excited. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the Ryan one. Like the 3 films that he's doing.
Yeah, we'll see what,
because I sort of like that blank slate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the fact that he gets to build everything from new, and it's not like there's no characters that we had hopes for 30 years in the film and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be so exciting to see the rollout of it. So that's the sort of, because I don't know, like Star Wars, it just eats itself the way like the timeline spins around and stuff. Like like that's a good thing about the Marvel universe. It's always going forward.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like while you're still jumping from all the different films, that it's still the momentum of the timeline is sort of going forward. And I think that's like a hard thing with Star Wars, because most of the time it's been looping back around, and then it's like going back this way. Woo, 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 woo. So it's sort of, yeah. But it's fun. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Ryan trilogy thing is what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with all of that too. But it'll definitely be blank slate characters. Oh, before we move on to the next thing, just a hypeometer from 0 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit of hype. How are you feeling about Solo right now before we go see it?
I'm 70% hype.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty good.
I think it's going to be like really fun, not challenging film. But yeah, so I think it's going to be pretty good. I just don't want too many jokes. If they can not reference Han shooting first,
that'd be great.
Thank you, Ron Howard. Thank you, everyone. Because I think it's like, I know in Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan references, like he says, "You're going to be the death of me," and it's like a foreshadowing thing, but it's foreshadowing something in the universe. If they reference Han shot first, it's referencing like the planet Earth's pop culture, and the fan outrage or the fan reaction to an editing decision of the films. So I just hope they have the restraint not to do the most obvious reference ever. Please, no.
I feel like there's such a good chance that like he's gonna shoot somebody. He's gonna be like, "What? I always shoot first," and he'll be like, you know what I mean? Like, I hope not. I hope for our sakes it's not. I won't be surprised if it happens. You know, we'll see. I hope it doesn't happen though. Let's hope not. Maybe Ron won't do that. And actually, there's probably a way better chance of that not happening with Ron Howard's version as opposed to the other directors who were before.
That is very true. I was there. I never really clicked with them. I think they were nice guys at Celebration and stuff, but like, because they're films, 21 Jump Street and the Lego Movie, they kind of know that they're movies. Like in the film, it's sort of reference, like it's sort of like, hey, we know we're a movie. And yeah, that's not what I want in Star Wars films.
Yeah, I would say let them direct Deadpool 3 or something. I was like, let them do something where they're like, hey, we're a movie. We're the entire time it's a movie. Haha, it's a movie. Like, you know, like keep it.
So but I like, man, I hope people like it, and I hope people are chill on Han Solo not being. I think he's been great so far, but I just want. I'm sick of listening to people that can't contain their disappointment for a film.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's just Star Wars fans are sometimes the worst Star Wars fans. Like, it's just
no. I cannot stand that saying.
You hate that saying?
It's just people can be the worst people.
That's a better way of putting it. Yeah, I think that's true.
Like I can't stand that no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. It's like, no one is more passionate about Star Wars than Star Wars fans. And they love it the most, and then when it lets them down, they're disappointed the most. But I don't I think that's just like a cop out saying. I don't like and I know I hear people say it all the time.
Sure.
But I don't know. Although there's some people on the internet that I don't think they've proven themselves that they no longer deserve Star Wars films that they like, because they've been such dicks. You know, like Ryan Johnson will tweet out a condolence message to someone, and they got in that to go, I didn't like the space film you made.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, come on.
It's like whenever I see stuff like that, it's like, if I was Ryan Johnson, right, and I read that, it's like, I'd be glad you didn't like the film.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't want that to like it.
Because you're a dick. Do you know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Like, yeah, it's just that weird thing of like your react stuff sort of defines you. Like, it's like, well, if you made it the way you wanted, so then you wouldn't act like a little spoiled brat. Like, you're not going to go, oh, I should have done that. You're going to like go, your opinion is nothing, because you look at you're a raving idiot.
Yeah.
When like, it's just be an adult about it. Like,
yeah. No, that's a good way of putting it. And I think the problem with Star Wars is that it's just like the most well-known intellectual property on the planet. And no matter what you do with it, there's going to be people who are just so adamant about that. And I think back to like the whole being afraid of it not being what you want to be. It's that fear leading to anger and eventually to hate and suffering. It really applies to some of this stuff, because you're like, I'm afraid this isn't going to be like my childhood. And like, even people like Mark Hamill's like, this isn't going to recapture your childhood. This isn't the same thing. Like, you guys got to realize that. Like, I'm sorry. It's just, that's how it is.
Yeah, man. You can't, you've had your wonder years, man. You can't go back. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's lucky we even had those. Like, that's so cool to look back on and be like, yeah, I love these things. And like, the only person who can ruin that for you is yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wonder if, I don't know if it's possible to have like that connection to Star Wars, like when you're older. Like you sort of, you sort of need to have that experience with it when you're like in that 5 to 15 age group, when you're like growing as a person. And then it's sort of, but yeah, I don't know if people are like watching Star Wars for the first time at 26 and they're just like, oh man, I'm all about this now. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
like they're not, like, when people, like when the Force Awakens, the Chewie we're home thing, and like, dudes are crying and stuff. It's not like, that's because this thing is ingrained in your like mind, like from when you're a little kid. So, I just don't think you're ever gonna, like, because the way your imagination sort of drops off. And I just don't think you have that, like that 5 to 15-year-old, like they get to enjoy the films the most. They should pay more to go see it.
Yeah.
Because they enjoy it more.
For sure. Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, we actually looked at your Star Wars fandom card, and you are actually quite high. So it's going to be $40.
Yeah. For real.
That's great. Oh, okay. Man, I can talk to you about this all day, but we need to move on. But anyway, so that question we asked everybody, but I just want to just one quick one. R2D2. This is from Ryan Lehman. He said he's candid and very resourceful. That's very true. He is very candid. He's very resourceful. But the question that they have for us, just in turn, just like, I'm sure you get this all the time, but like, what is your favorite Star Wars film of all of them? Is there one that like really speaks to you on like one level where you love this, another one over here for something different? Like, or is there one where you're like, this is the one, I love it so much?
Return of the Jedi. It's the best film ever made.
Really?
But that's the thing. I was like, there was like the first one that I got to see in the cinema. There was like a first run, like I'd seen a re-release of Star Wars, but like I went to the cinema to see Return of the Jedi when I was little, and like the green lightsaber, how like I remember just thinking it was so cool that he had hit it in R2D2. I always thought that was dope.
That's so cool.
And just how that all worked, and like Ewoks, I just love them so much. I've wait there, I'll be back in 2 seconds. I'll show you how much I love Ewoks.
Yes, this is great. Oh, cool. Live Ewok fandom. This is a good thing. You're seeing it here first, Legionnaires, or maybe not first. I don't know. The cops are coming. Welcome back.
So this is my little Ewok cat, Jerry. And he's just had a haircut, so he's not so furry, but he's just like a little Ewok. Say hello, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. You cut him like that?
No, we get him professionally done because he's super, like he puffs out like crazy. And my friend drew this. It's like him as an Ewok.
That's pretty great. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How old is Jerry, by the way?
He's 12.
Okay.
So he's pretty old, but he's an indoor cat. So they get bonus
Bonus years, yeah.
They double their life expectancy apparently. So
yeah, they can live for quite a long time.
They better. I tell you that much.
Yeah. Okay, but Return of the Jedi for you.
Oh yeah, the whole and I loved like as I got older and I sort of understood why. Like when I was little, the first time I saw it, I never really understood why you couldn't just lightsaber the Emperor. Like that whole like you couldn't use your anger and stuff. So that was like a really like good thing to think about when you're a little kid. Like why shouldn't you just go up and hit someone, or why should you use your power to help other people? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a pretty good life lesson. And there's just like Jabba's palace, like Max Rebo band, just dopeness all around. Yoda getting tucked in bed. Come on.
Luke being in a full like black, like he's like Jedi garb. He's like choking people. He's just walking in and he's like, "You're gonna do exactly what I say." And you're like, "Oh, okay, Luke." Like,
man, I wish the Jedi in the prequels dress like Luke.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Oh man.
Like, I don't know why they all dress like homeless people on Tatooine.
I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, well, Return of the Jedi. That's not a bad pick. That's a good pick right there.
Yeah, well, I will never argue with anyone that it's the best film.
Sure.
But it's my favorite one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. It's about what your favorite is, because I would say my favorite is definitely not the one that people would be like, that's like the greatest Star Wars film ever. It's just like the one I love the most.
Yeah. So. And I don't even know which one is better out of Empire and Star Wars. I kind of think Empire is the better one as far as, because like Star Wars was amazing, but then Empire gave like this realness to the universe or something. Like it sort of said, hey, this thing that you love, this exciting thing, like it's richer than you thought. There's a lot more to it than you thought, and we're gonna take it a lot more seriously than you thought.
Yeah.
Like it was, because you had like, the most successful film ever, and then they got more serious about it, like in the next film, which normally it's sort of like, things get watered down in the next film. Like, people land on their platforms and they're getting undressed by a robot, and and their girlfriend gets in the robot suit,
Yep, that was on the idea docket for Empire, and they're like, no.
Oh, dude, it kind of happens with the Darth Vader helmet as well.
Yeah, there you go. See, it all ties together. Disney's been planning this. They're like, this is a callback.
What a bunch of hypocrites, huh?
Yeah. Oh well, that just I think that's just being a human. Eventually, you just kind of end up you usually be a hypocrite to one thing you say eventually. So
yeah, I guess if you talk as much as us, then eventually half of it's gonna not make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Return of the Jedi. I don't even really need to go into mine, because the way you talked about yours, there's no way I can top the love there. But
what is yours? What is your favorite, though? So I know.
Believe it or not, and this is gonna shock a lot. Well, maybe shock some people, but this is one I kind of grew up with a little bit more. But I really like Revenge of the Sith. I would say the strongest out of the original prequel stuff. Now there's a lot of crappy CGI. As an adult, I realized like some of the acting isn't super there, but I love Ewan McGregor as like a fully fledged out like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like seeing Anakin's descent. Some of the stuff seems really stupid. I don't like watching freaking Jedi Masters get dropped like instantly by Sidious.
Yeah.
Like that's rough. There's some rough stuff. That movie, like the beginning sequence, I think of that film is what always gets me. It's the kind of the big battle over Coruscant, and there's Dooku, and there's Grievous, and it's just all this craziness, and it's like Star Wars is like like a real war. I'm seeing it for the first time. Like
that first shot is amazing.
Oh, I love it so much.
Like where they they dip into the that is.
It's just like it's so good. I love that.
Yeah, that. The first sequence is pretty kick-ass. My one flaw in it is I hate the vulture droids, how the head above, like, I don't know. It's just like, do you have to make it like a bird?
Yeah,
like,
I know. Yeah, I know it's dumb. That part is stupid. Yeah, you're definitely right. But yeah, I love it. I love Mustafar. I love the whole Battle of the Heroes and Duel of the Fates and all that crazy stuff comes back. I loved watching Sidious and Yoda fight each other. the council. The first time I saw that, I was like, that room is such a good room to fight in. And then they rose up into it, and I was like, it's happening. Like, it's like, yes. Like, it's so stupid, but I love it. Like, I love it so much. And I wish Anakin could have a red lightsaber. I know it doesn't make sense thematically, but sometimes they do some pan away shots. I'm like, all right, there's 2 blue lightsabers hitting each other. I'm like, okay, there's Anakin. Okay, all right, cool. But yeah, there's something about me that likes the stupidity.
Yeah, but he couldn't have had a red one.
Yeah, you're right. He couldn't.
Because Luke had to get given the blue one.
Exactly. So they would have had to given him at some other time. If you play the video game, it's really weird because at the end of it, it's so strange. Like you play the level again as Anakin fighting Obi and you defeat him. You go see the Emperor. The Emperor gives you a red lightsaber. He throws it up, turns around, stabs the Emperor, and then he looks at all the clones and he says, "The galaxy is mine now." And they're all like, okay. And I was like, what? I was like, what a weird way to go with that. It's like full
really?
canon. Yeah, so there's some weird stuff in that game, but it's actually hilarious. You should look it up. It's really good. They're all like, okay, like, I guess so. He's the new boss. Like, it's very,
all right. Yeah. I'll look for that on YouTube. That is,
it's very funny. It's very funny. That's a fun game, by the way. One of the best movie tie-ins. There's some fun stuff in there. They make some pretty bold claims with some of the enemy types, but yeah. And even Anakin gets Force Lightning, weirdly, in this game. It's very, like, it follows it loosely. Like,
okay. Yeah. Well, even I used to love the Nintendo ones.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and they were very, Tatooine didn't have that many giant bugs coming out from under the ground, from my memory. But
yeah, that just makes it fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. We got to, because I know you're a busy guy and I don't want to keep you any longer. But if you ever have a question, guys, for the show, please tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast. You can tweet at me. I'm at GoCritical. It's capital G, capital C. Or tweet at me personally. I'm at JimmyGood013. But if you just have a question or just want to talk to Steele, where can people tweet at you?
I tweet continuously about Star Wars, and I always love discussing it online and stuff at Steele Wars on Twitter. So it's STEELEWARS. I do a podcast that interviews people about Star Wars. We've had Ben Mendelsohn on. We've had Admiral Raddus, Steve Stanton. We've had Sam Witwer.
Which is so cool.
We've had lots of really interesting Star Wars people, and I love interviewing people. So if that's of interest, and they're normally pretty funny and stuff. But then the podcast, we have call-in shows. It's like talkback radio. We do live shows, so it's sort of like a live comedy show about Star Wars, just talking to other comedians about what they like and stuff. And then we cover events. So when Comic-Con's on, we'll be sort of recording shows there and stuff, and Star Wars Celebration. And also I'm posting more and more stuff on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Steele Wars. So we're sort of getting up full live shows up there and doing sort of highlights and stuff. And if you're in LA, or if you're on YouTube, or if you're on iTunes, the weekend after Solo comes out, we're doing a reaction podcast at Scum and Villainy Cantina in Hollywood. And then, so we sort of react to the film, and that'll be up the weekend after. And, we've had Kyle Newman do those, and Anthony Bresnikan and stuff like that. So we get some really fun guests on. And so if you want to talk Star Wars like this and not take it too seriously while taking it very seriously, then check out the podcast.
Yeah, well, you normally say on your show, pod it forward, and normally I would, promote us here. But if you guys want, this week, please check out Steele. You have a Patreon, and I'll link all this stuff down below. Please go check him out, and if you want to support him, please just tell him Jimmy sent you, because I just want to support this guy. He's great. I like him. That's why he's on the show. Wouldn't be here if I didn't, right? So I really appreciate you being on.
I now know how you got that surname.
Well, I don't know, but thank you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of balancing out the critical with, the good. But Steele, is there anything else you want to say to everybody before we take it out here?
Just enjoy the internet.
Enjoy the internet.
Just enjoy it. It's an amazing invention, and it's there for us to spend most of our lives on. So get to it. Click.
Exactly.
Click.
Definitely. Well, thank you again. Thank you everybody else for watching, and just remember to adapt and overcome. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.